Hi there, it's Lisa Ackerman. I am from TACA, and I have a great honor of introducing you to Lois and David Kalmick from Speech Kingdom.
Hello there.
Hello.
Hey,
We thought it's fun. Sorry, we thought today would be fun to take you through. Many of our kids love technology, so we're going to do a kind of quasi interview, but look at a computer tablet-based game that will gain attention for hours. So we're going to talk about fun games and how we can shore up deficits and have children on the autism spectrum build up those deficits. So first, what is Speech Kingdom?
Well, Speech Kingdom is a comprehensive software application that's designed to improve social communication, encourages language development, supports cognitive growth, and improves behaviors in our kids.
one unique feature of Speech Kingdom is our custom avatars. The child is actually in the story. Your child is not looking at other children that they don't know, some video of some strangers. And this creates a great bond between the children and the characters. It improves their focus, attention, concentration. It increases their retention, the ability to generalize, and also tends to lower their stress levels.
Well, I have a heart for you guys, and I know how long you've been working at this, but please tell us, for everyone listening, what led you to create Speech Kingdom?
Well, we used to run a very large software and internet company, CompuLaw and Deadlines.com, and that company was acquired by private equity back in 2011. And after the acquisition, we decided, let's create a new company, something to give back, something to help kids.
Here's a little of our personal history. We have beautiful triplet daughters, 2 identical twins within the set of triplets, and one is a fraternal. The twins were diagnosed with autism spectrum disorder, ASD, at 3 years old, and they're teenagers now. One of them no longer tests on the spectrum, and the other is rapidly advancing toward their independence. So over the course of many years, during our journey, we determined the most helpful therapies for our kids were customized social stories, where the kids actually saw themselves in each story. Do you have the stories?
Yeah, I have folders and boxes full of these.
In particular, I love this one.
Oh, I think we have the same box of stuff. I could do that too. I could show you Jeff's. Yeah.
Yes.
But this works. This works.
Well, because the kids were able to see themselves in each story, they were able to relate to the subject matter. But kids are drawn to technology. Like you said before, Lisa, the computers, the iPads, anything with a screen, it's just more engaging and more productive for them. We had cards and other paper and cardboard products, and they were just not as effective.
No, but our kids were lucky. We were lucky. In 2007, we were receiving 25 to 30 hours per week per child, from regional. And I know regional is no longer providing those kind of hours to families routinely, and families get a fraction of that much therapy. So Speech Kingdom is designed to help bridge that gap.
And I love that. And you guys have such a great story, and I love your girls. So who's the team behind Speech Kingdom?
Okay, well, like you said, Speech Kingdom was a 2-year project that finally came to fruition in its 8th year. It was a massive, you've known us throughout this journey. It's a massive team effort.
Right.
We still work with relational psychotherapists, multiple special education teachers, speech language pathologists, programmers, and one of our programmers even worked on the Powerball lottery project. We worked with graphic artists on both coasts, designers, parents of ASD kids. We have input from other professionals and consultants, even the autism program at UCLA, which our kids attended when they were super young. And Lisa, you, our mentor from Presidente of TACA. And on top of that, we have dozens of great suggestions from early users that started in 2017.
You forgot the marriage and family therapist. Just kidding. Okay.
We haven't needed one yet.
No, you guys are great. I joke. But, I'm so grateful because you supported us before Speech Kingdom was an idea. But how long have you supported TACA?
Well, TACA supported us before we supported TACA. So back in 2007, when we first got the diagnosis and we were so scared and didn't know what to do, we found TACA. and sucked up everything on your website, put the kids on the GFCF diet, used protocols to heal their guts. TACA was our main source of advice on what to do to help our kids. And after the sale of our companies, then we really became active TACA supporters. And Speech Kingdom was even a vendor at a 2017 show.
At your conference.
Yeah.
Well, thank you first and foremost. Now let's get into Speech Kingdom. Walk me through, how does this thing work?
Well, there's three basic components of Speech Kingdom. We have the fundamental skills mini stories. Thank you for that suggestion, by the way, in the early days. We have social stories and games for language and cognitive skills building. Now, the fundamental skills, the mini stories focus on a single skill, behavior, or event. Each one has a corresponding workbook that has coloring pages, and those coloring pages are the scenes taken from its mini story. So we see those three scenes from the mini stories are in the workbooks for the kids to color.
Mhm.
We also offer writing practice of the words that are spoken in each scene, where the kids can trace the letters, and we use an education-approved font that teachers use in public and private schools. And they can also practice writing once they if they develop the skills. Social stories have three levels of complexity. We have beginners, intermediate, proficient, and each has comprehension questions. Some have end of story, some have end of scene questions, and all of them have end of story questions. And each, of course, has a corresponding language worksheet for each level. The games are for cognitive and language skills building. And a good example is our pronouns game, which I know you love, Lisa. It's a really tricky skill to teach if not learned as a toddler.
Yes, really hard.
Especially I, me, and you.
Right.
And that's where we start. Then we continue through first, second, and third person and proper noun replacements, where we replace the proper nouns with their corresponding pronouns. And the proficient level addresses the more advanced plurals and possessive pronouns. For this game, we have over 1,000 pronoun replacement sentence sets, and this is to provide repetition without boredom.
I'll always add. We also have rewards and reinforcers. These are little animations of your child's avatar, doing all kinds of fun things. Hitting a baseball out of the park, doing karate, swinging a lightsaber, doing a cannonball into a pool, performing gymnastics. It's the big library. It's been growing all the time. I think we just added a couple this week.
We added 2 this week.
Yeah.
Flexible customization is really important. Children are not all the same, and their therapies vary across providers, whether we're talking about teachers, behaviorists, speech language pathologists, parents who are involved, or a combination of all three. And we have options in there that are presets that allow you to select your situation. Maybe you're working with the child in an adult assisted situation, or they're doing independent practice. We also offer full customization of all the settings and options so you can dive in there. We do recommend, though, that you start with our default settings. Then you can explore the help system. It's all context sensitive, and every option in the system, if you don't know what it is, what it's for, what it does, just tap it, and a context sensitive screen will pop up with help in it. We also offer online in-app tutorials at a higher level that focus on, for example, the pronouns game. We have a pronouns tutorial that focuses on the entire game and shows you all the features for additional support. And at our website, we have some wonderful tutorials at speechkingdom.com. We also offer automatic scoring and reporting, which provides very, very good evidence, objective evidence for when you go to IEPs. In short, Speech Kingdom is super user-friendly and very easy to use.
Flexible.
Flexible.
Great, yeah. Well, we have something called remote control, which is really unique to our system. You can put your child's device into student mode and control it from another smartphone, tablet, or computer. You can use this on anything. You can restrict and control movement, like next, previous, repeat, scene browsing, exit, whatever. You can avoid repetitive behavior and stimming. You can surprise your child with a reinforcer reward, one of those little animations we're about to show you. At any time, at any activity, you need to regain focus. You want to say, attaboy, you're doing it. A great tutorial for how to use the remote control is on our website at speechkingdom.com. Again, putting your child in the story. And in the games, it's huge. The child will identify with their character. This is working for us. It increases engagement, concentration, generalization, and it lowers their stress levels and makes an increased desire to want to use the product.
And I love all of this. And don't worry, you guys, it's not just back and forth. We're going to show you the product too. So I want to really get into, yeah, we're going to do that, I promise. But one of the most important things that I think almost every kid on the spectrum, besides pronouns, right, is about the utilization of theory of mind. How does that work in this program?
Well, a simplified definition of theory of mind is the understanding that others have beliefs, desires, intentions, and perspectives that are different from one's own. This is a major component of Speech Kingdom stories. So the characters, including your child, glow with a yellow halo when they have an inner thought or an opinion. You just tap the glowing character and you'll hear that thought. Kids soon learn that the characters have thoughts and opinions that may differ from theirs, which is a really difficult concept for our kids to learn. Speech Kingdom focuses heavily in this area, and I'm proud to say it's the subject of one of our patents that are pending right now.
All right. So, you know, this is all a lot of information. How would parents know what level of story is right for their kiddo?
Well, there's detailed real-time online help that explains all the story levels so you can help decide. Stories vary by level in length and content. So if you're unsure, start at the beginner level, move to intermediate if your child can access more easily. The appropriate level really does increase engagement and comprehension. And comprehension leads to better modeling, better learning. For an example, there's a story, Are You Ready for a Pet? And the beginner level is about having a small turtle pet in 7 scenes. The intermediate level is about having a kitten in 11 scenes, and the proficient level is about having a dog that's a pet in 15 scenes. So that gives you, some of the stories change based on the level, others are just more expanded. But putting your child in the action lets them see their own success and helps with the learning.
We're going to keep repeating that over and over again. Putting the child in the story, in the action, really something key.
I'm so mad you didn't have this product when Jeff was little, but we'll get back to
Yeah, we didn't have it when our kids were little.
Yeah.
I know. Okay, so now I appreciate you learning about what you put into the program to make it educational, but you know, is it fun?
It's really fun. Fun is a key component of Speech Kingdom's design. I'm going to show you finally, let's take a look at how we create an avatar for your child, explore a story, and we'll see some of these rewards and reinforcers. Can you see my screen okay?
Yeah, looks good.
Right?
All right.
This is the first screen that you'll see after you get back from the Apple Store or the Google Play Store, or if you go to our website at speechkingdom.com and select Run Desktop App, this is what you'll actually see. If you notice, this is our sign in. You can sign up here, but this is what we're interested in. This is the interactive tour that you can take without even before you're sure if we're the right solution for you or not. So let's take a look. Here's where you create an avatar. We give you a little bit of flavor for fundamental skills and mini stories. Here's social stories. We let you explore a social story here. It's a sampling taken from our intermediate level of personal space. And here's a few reinforcers and rewards you can look at from our library. And this is an overview of some of our games. So let's start out with the avatar. Now, I've already created an avatar. This is Elizabeth. If you have a boy, you just select the boy. If the boy has a different color hair, you change the hair color. It's just that easy. So I'm going to go back to Elizabeth. This is her hair color. I can make her curly hair too. This is, we can set her hair color, skin color, eye color, shirt color. I can even give her glasses. Here's some pink glasses for her. So there's a lot of customization, but not too much. It's enough to make a little cartoon character that your child can identify with. Now, whether you have mom, dad, grandma, grandpa, or another responsible adult with your child, you can create them here as well. In this case,
This is me.
this is Lois. I try to match the shirt she's wearing. Her hair's a little darker than Elizabeth's. What's that? This blue? Okay, we're going to change her eye colors. And if I wanted to give her a different shirt, I could do that too. And if I wanted to make you have black glasses, I could do that.
Okay.
So basically, we can control a lot of stuff here. Next thing we do is we name the child. Now, this is really important, a little bit esoteric, but we call Elizabeth Elizabeth. We don't call her, we used to call her Lizzie Beth as a young, when she was a toddler. But we called her Lizzie, I put Lizzie here. If I have a William and I call him Bill or Billy, I put that there. And why do we do that? That's because all of the characters in Speech Kingdom will now refer to this child by their name, which creates another bond, and your child can now identify with themselves in the story.
Yeah, when they're in the story, they're in the story.
They're in the story.
Name and image.
Okay, I'm going to crisscross through this. So let's take a look at Elizabeth. We're going to put her in personal space, and we're going to see what happens. We'll start out, there'll be a narrator that's going to set the story up for us.
Hey, watch it, one kid says. What's the matter with them? I just want to talk with them. Why are they so mean?
Speaking of theory of mind, you notice Elizabeth is at the end of the line. You see her in her red shirt, just like we set her up. And she's very close to her friend Maddie. This is Maddie, and this is Miss Jackson. So Elizabeth is a little too close to Maddie, but she doesn't quite get it. She doesn't understand Maddie's obvious body language, obvious to someone like me. And she's not picking up on Maddie's social cues. And this is real common for our kids. Now she's glowing yellow, and yellow means she's thinking something. So if you notice down here, Elizabeth's in her thought. So I can now tap on Elizabeth.
It's just not fair. They're so mean.
So she just doesn't understand that she's not picking up on this. At this point, too, we can dive in with our kids, depending on where they are with expressive language. We can point to, we can name objects in the picture. We can ask them, perhaps, some WH questions. We can ask them, maybe they think they're coming to school in the morning, or they coming in the afternoon, returning from recess. We may also, if they're a little more advanced, we can talk about the specifics. Why do you think Maddie's arms are up? Why is she leaning back? If you notice, she looks like she's really uncomfortable. Another thing that we've done throughout Speech Kingdom, these faces are exaggeratingly expressive. The eyes are big and they make eye contact. And even Miss Jackson, she's gesturing right now that she's kind of looks like she's just kind of waiting to see what's going to happen. So let's move on. I'm going to cut off the narrator. We don't need to listen to the whole thing, so I'm going to pause her.
What's the matter? Miss Jackson asks.
Okay, so she's going on to look at Elizabeth, who's sitting there looking pretty sad, and she doesn't want to be there. She thinks the kids just don't like her, and no one wants to be friends with her. And we see she's glowing again. She's got a thought. Let's see what she's thinking.
No one likes me here.
Oh, poor thing. And Miss Jackson is looking at her, and she really wants to be nice.
I'm here. I'm going to help you.
So now we'll move on to the next scene. And again, we could be discussing this with our child and get some expressive language if they're so inclined. Or we can just point out things and they'll listen.
I'm happy that Miss Jackson is here trying to help me.
Trying to understand personal space can be difficult.
Now you notice their arms are providing a little solution. So what we do is we provide a situation, and then we provide a model to teach our child exactly what to do and how important personal space is. Now I'm going to give you a spoiler alert right now that Elizabeth is going to take this information. She's going to, yes, she'll practice it. She's going to use it with her friends. She's going to be best friends with Maddie. They're all going to be very, very happy, and she's going to have a great time at school.
She's going to learn personal space.
She's now learning personal space. Okay, now let's look at the reinforcers. At the end, like Lois said, at the end of every story, at the end of every game session, at the end of every mini story will be a reinforcer, something to say, great job, something to say, keep on playing. And again, if you're in remote control mode, that can be done at any time on the fly, at anytime at all. So here's Elizabeth. This is just 4 out of the dozens that we have. And here's Elizabeth doing gymnastics. Here's Elizabeth jumping up and down. She's just made it to the top of the hill. Here's Elizabeth as a Jedi. And of course, Elizabeth loves to swim. I use this with her all the time. She's going to do a cannonball. Pretty cool, huh?
That's so cute.
Kids love these.
Kids just love these things. So this is just a little flavor of the product that you can get, no charge. Just go to the website, go to the App Store, download it, just play with it, have a good time.
Oh, that's so awesome. I love all the stories and the cute reinforcers. I want me jumping in the pool 20 times. All right. So is there anything else we need to know about these social stories?
Let me,
Yes, there is. All the characters are drawn again with eyes that emphasize eye contact. There's natural voices are used in all the mini stories and social stories. Some scenes throughout the stories, they'll just happen, have other animations for fun and for focus, get kids refocused. But the stories are designed to create a natural flow from scene to scene, increasing the amount of student character identification, interaction, better comprehension. We don't want to just zoom through it. We want to go scene by scene. The audio speed can be adjusted 80 to 120%, which helps with early language learners, children whose English is a second language, and children with processing delays like my were. Supervising adults, again, can optionally control the child's device from a separate device, put the child's device in student mode, and whatever the adult does on their device is mimicked on the student's device. Actions can be restricted from the child's device, such as navigation options, previous, next, exit, making a glowing character or narrator speak. You could restrict repetitive behaviors, such as sounds and characters speaking, and you can provide on-the-fly, real-time rewards and reinforcers whenever your child needs that. And the stories are grouped, and the mini stories are grouped in 4 categories: executive functioning and life skills, people and friendship skills, safety at home, at school, and in the community, and self-regulation, emotional and physical.
I love it. Okay, great. So in addition right now to the social stories, you also offer language building skills. What are those?
Well, within the mini stories and social story, there's a lot of language modeling opportunities, like we talked about earlier with personal space. We also offer some great games for language and cognitive skills. I'd like to show you our newest game, Pronouns, that we touched on earlier. And a little history, we tried a lot of pronoun apps with our daughters, and all of them were ineffective for one reason or another. And we took those reasons into account when we designed Pronouns. Speech Kingdom Pronouns game uses hundreds and hundreds of pictures. Many of them do include your child as well. We use spoken words that indicate just who's talking for context. We also offer an additional explanation line for further context. And of course, a fill-in-the-blank sentence with a dynamically sized word bank of pronouns. Can I show you the pronouns game? I can't see on my screen. Are you looking at it?
You got it.
All right.
Good.
So pronouns are leveled, like we talked about earlier, from the most fundamental all the way through proficient. And hidden down below is a little a customization game that actually opens up all of the options that allow you to have fun and your child to have fun. I'm going to start out. Oh, let me show you the pronouns tutorial. This is, remember I mentioned we have some high-level help. If you go through this will show you exactly all of the little options and different cool things that the program can do step by step. So when you're ready, you can take a look at this.
Great.
I'm going to start out with the most fundamental level, which is not designed to challenge your child, but designed to teach them. We took the example of a basketball player who makes 10,000 free throws, shot attempts, over and over when he practices or she practices, because we know that when the time comes and we need to make that shot, it's going to happen. So we're going to go into, this is the pronouns groupings we're going to look at. We have a choice in the fundamental level of I, me, and you. We have 401 opportunities right here. And I'm going to keep all three of them on. I could turn off some, and you notice it dropped to 154. But I'm going to keep all of them on here. And Speech Kingdom allows you to bite off 50 at a time. And I'm going to keep this down. I'm going to put it at 5 because we're just going to take a quick look.
Mom is talking.
So that's our Look Who's Talking feature. And you can see Mom's got a little speech bubble by here. She's talking. And if we didn't quite get that, we can repeat it.
Mom is talking.
And here's the extra sentence we have for a little more context. And notice that when I play the sentence, all the words are going to be underlined, just like karaoke, to help early readers.
Mom wants Elizabeth to be safe.
And in addition to that, we have what we call profile pictures. This is a picture of Mom, who looks a lot like Elizabeth. Oh, I'm sorry. This is a picture of Mom, who looks a lot like Elizabeth with darker hair. This is Elizabeth, because that refers to Elizabeth here. And this refers, she's the one over here that she's talking, and she says, you must be, Mom's talking to Elizabeth, and you are Elizabeth. So.
Elizabeth, you must be careful.
So we only have
Elizabeth
one.
is talking.
So,
One at a time.
Maddie likes to play with me.
Got it.
so we're just doing one at a time,
Elizabeth is talking.
and we're going to do it over and over and over again.
Well, yeah, the whole idea is you're going to have over 400 attempts to do I, me, you, and we'll add more as time goes on, and just over and over, because you just can't get enough repetition once they didn't learn it as toddlers. You need to do it hundreds of times, and that's what was wrong with everything else we ever bought. There wasn't enough data, not even nearly.
Right.
We can also,
Me?
I can click on that.
You were nice to give blank your cupcake.
So Elizabeth is talking. I can hear her talk by
You
clicking
were
on her.
nice to give blank your cupcake.
And you see Elizabeth sees herself right in the action here in some of these scenes. So this is the pronouns at the most fundamental of levels. I'm going to now show you the beginner level, which gets a little bit more more choices basically in the pronoun bank, up to 3 choices, and the sentences are a little bit more complex. Here we have the options. We have, you know, everything from he, she, it, he, it, she, he, she, her, him. Here's the I, me, you groupings, and then we have a little bit of plural here. We have them, they, us, the simplest of the plurals. So I can turn off everything but the I, me, you, and we drop down, we have 57 choices, and I'm gonna just get a group this time of 15. So we can tailor this for the child exactly what their attention span is, what they would best be served by limiting the number of attempts that we're gonna give them and put in front of their face.
Elizabeth is talking.
So again, we've got this in context.
Elizabeth wants to hand Mom the clothes.
Now, if we have,
You, me, I.
so do you want, and since Elizabeth's talking, and this is the person she's talking to about herself, so it's probably not you. If we mess something up though, I'm gonna do I.
Elizabeth is talking. Do you want blank to hand you the
So
clothes?
you notice we don't shame the child. We make a mistake, we make a mistake. We just give her another prompt. She's talking. We disable this particular pronoun so she's not going to be able to
That's great.
drag it again. And now we're looking, well, Elizabeth knows we're going to be talking about herself, so
Do you want me to hand you the clothes?
You can control how many
Maddie is
times they
talking.
can try and everything.
now I have this set to auto advance. Here's this little gear here. This is the settings. And I can go into game settings and I can look here, auto advance is on. And if I'm curious and I want to know, well, why do we have auto advance and what is it? I can just click on it and here's our help on auto advance. So this tells us about anything, whether it's a difficulty level, anything about it. So I'm going to turn off auto advance.
Maddie is talking.
Okay, so right now we see Maddie is talking. Maddie's Elizabeth's best friend from the personal space story. And is it okay? Let's see.
Is it okay if blank worked with Elizabeth?
So we're talking about Maddie. And Maddie's talking, so she's talking about herself, so it must be I.
Is it okay if I work with Elizabeth?
And we just go through the sets.
Gary is talking.
So Elizabeth is at the beach.
Mom is talking. Mom is
So
talking.
we tend to reuse the pictures as well and have the characters, different characters talk. Last time Elizabeth was speaking. And this gives us also a good idea of exactly how much is left, which is great for the therapist or parent so they can gauge how much time they have or how much time they're going to need. So that in a nutshell is our pronouns game. I can show you in the more proficient levels get a lot more complicated.
Right.
And there's more blanks.
Elizabeth is talking.
You can control the size of that bank.
Well, the bank will reset depending on how many pronouns we're working with. Obviously,
okay.
we're not going to be working with his isn't going to appear here.
Yeah.
So that, Lisa, is our pronouns game.
Awesome. Awesome. How fun. Okay, now I want to see more. I want to see the fundamentals. Can you show me some of the fundamental skills?
Sure. Let's get that going. Remember, your child is the main character in every one of these stories. And some are more simpler topics like sitting in circle time. Some are a little higher level. Some involve more language and language skills. And they're designed for a wide variety of skill levels. And we haven't had a kid yet that doesn't need a bunch of these. And they just focus on one skill and one event, one situation. Yes,
I think that's what you were looking for.
How about this?
Okay, again, Lisa, are we looking at fundamentals?
Yes.
Good. So we have a lot of them,
Wow.
and we're constantly adding more. One of the things that you'll notice if you look at these pictures, in addition to your child being in every story, there's also, well, you can't tell from these pictures, but there's an adult in every single story. It's either going to be a parent or a teacher or some responsible adult. We have an authority figure to help the child learn the skills.
Awesome.
So we want them to be successful. So let's start out by, I'm going to show you sharing toys. I think it's called sharing toys. It's something about I can share my toys or sharing toys. And then we're going to look at a daily schedule. So since I'm not sure, I could go through the categories like Lois mentioned. We can choose by, here's some of the executive functioning ones right here, or I can choose by safety at home. But I'm not sure where toys would land us. So I'm just going to type in toy and excuse me, here's a few stories about toys. Cleaning up your toys, asserting yourself when others take your toy. And here's our sharing toys, keeping my toys, sharing with a friend too. So the first thing we see is the main landing page for this particular story. And there's several options on the screen. We have our help we can have for additional help, high-level help about these skill stories themselves. And we'll talk about workbooks a little in a second. This is the core concept. So we're talking about functional play, social interaction, and sharing with others. And my favorite part on here is this description where Elizabeth learns to share her blocks with Maddie. I get that. I can understand that best. And here's core concepts. If you parent or child, or a therapist wants to dig a little deeper, yeah, it's important for children to learn how to assert themselves as well as how to share. Story demonstrates both the child not letting another simply take a toy from them and also sharing toys with another. So remember, we model success, so your story ends up being successful, learning a skill, behavior, or reaction. So let's get started. I'm going to show you downloading a workbook, I promise. Oh, one other thing, we can preview. We can preview this just to get an idea before we show it to our child.
Oh, great.
What's going on. We may want to think of some questions we may want to ask them or some ways to encourage language, or because one of the things, we don't just show these child's mini stories in a vacuum where they go boom, 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 3 scenes, we're done. They may be learning how to make a bed. They may be working with their behaviorist to cope with anger and dealing with friendships. We're looking at sharing toys now. You may be waiting your turn. So that gives you a little preview.
Could be all kinds of other therapy going on at school, at home, that they need, why we know they need to work on the skill.
Yep. So why don't we start out, we'll look at the skill. So remember the yellow glow. That means Elizabeth was thinking something. Here, Elizabeth has something she wants to share with us. She wants to tell us something. She wants to speak. So orange means speaking. Yellow means inner thoughts, theory of mind. Remember I mentioned the eyes. She has got big eyes. She's making eye contact here. She seems to be real happy about something, pointing to her blocks. Obviously, Maddie's not so happy, looking a little bit put off. Miss Jackson's just observing, kind of waiting to see what's going on.
I'm playing blocks. These are mine.
So who knows what Maddie's going to do, if she's going to get mad? No. You notice that Miss Jackson seems to be kind of pleased. We're kind of interested to see what happens next. Maddie's smiling. Elizabeth looks like she's not sure what she's going to do.
I want blocks too.
And in the final scene, remember we're modeling good behavior, good reactions. So
I will share. We can both play blocks.
So we're modeling, again, a specific skill, situation, behavior, reaction. And at the end of every story, at the end of every game, at the end of every mini story. Is that lacrosse?
I think
It
so.
is. That's lacrosse. I know that.
I'm a California boy. I don't know anything about lacrosse.
I think they play.
Okay, so this is one of the mini stories, and I promised you I would show you a workbook.
Right.
And also I want to show you the following schedules. Or following a schedule. Okay, well, I can just put in the word SCH, and I'm going to get anything having to do with school or schedule. You notice it doesn't have to be in the title. We have keywords associated with every single story, every single mini story, everything. So searches tend to be very intuitive. I could also type in lining and classroom. It's a total keyword search. So let's follow the schedule. So download the workbook. If you click this, you get an opportunity to download a full-on PDF of the workbook, which I just happen to have right here. So this is scene 1, and you'll see that when we look at the story, it'll be Miss Jackson standing, introducing Elizabeth to the schedule. Next, we're going to be showing, by the way, the characters, since we don't know these are hard-coded PDF files, we just happen to have a child who looks like Elizabeth. But what we will do, well, your child won't be in the coloring book. We will, if your child is a girl, we're going to have girls. And if your child's a boy, we'll have boys in the workbooks. The best friend will be a boy. The best friend will be a girl, depending on the gender of your child as well. So here's the coloring area. And over here, this is a special font that's used by educators in public and private schools throughout the United States. And we've chosen this font so the child can trace here, and then they can write on their own if they'd like to. So this is the first scene. Here's the second scene where Elizabeth's pointing up about math. She doesn't look too happy. And here we have, I guess she's pointing at recess and lunch. So why don't we look at schedules, following the rules, emotional regulation. So Elizabeth is going to review the school schedule with Miss Jackson. And one thing I'm sure you're aware of, painfully aware of, Lisa, is that especially our kids, when they know what's happening next, when there's no surprises, when they feel like there's a sense of order in their lives, they are much, much more easy to deal with and much happier.
Yes.
So let's start the fundamental skill. So Miss Jackson now has something to say.
What's on your schedule?
Math. That's hard.
First math, then recess.
So again, we're just teaching appropriate reactions to a situation. Elizabeth made a hoop, I made a hoop, yay! Okay. So these are this is an example of the fundamental skill stories.
That's awesome. And I know that there's so much you want to show me, but I want to focus on customization.
Okay.
Okay, well, there's a great explanation of how to customize from Speech Kingdom teacher user at speechkingdom.com under tips and tactics.
It's on the resources.
On the resources tab, yes. And you want to include your child as much as possible. And you want to make this fun and exciting. Like today, we're going to make a cartoon that looks like you and one that looks like me, and select a mini story that targets a specific behavior you're working on. You know, somebody came home from school and this is what happened, and maybe we can talk about that and look at you doing it right. Select a social story and a level. Use the online help. If unsure, start at the beginner level. Let's do something new with your character. Explore and play. You can't break it. Play some games. Use the reinforcers. Above all, make it fun.
Oh, sorry, I kind of zoned for a second. Remember, one of the things that we offer that I'm real big on, that I'm constantly pushing in our seminars, is remember to use the in-app online help. It's there for a reason. It'll guide you through the settings. Don't be afraid to click on the little gear and explore the little settings. And once you do find your perfect settings for your child, and if you have more than one child in your Speech Kingdom menu, what you can do is basically be assured that your settings are saved on a per child basis.
Yeah.
So once again, though, if you're unsure of what it does, tap or click its label. Website provides great help on the help tab. All sorts of tutorials at speechkingdom.com/help. And they're divided into 3 basic categories: Speech Kingdom Essentials, which are common features to understand before you get started; Speech Kingdom Stories, self-explanatory; and Speech Kingdom Games. Know that if your child's a button pusher, you can limit the number of times they can repeat things. If they perseverate, we can knock that behavior out immediately. Maybe I only want to be able to play an audio file once, maybe only twice. So we can also, as Lois mentioned earlier, we can lock out the navigation by putting their device into student mode and putting ours in remote control. We offer you constant opportunities for language learning and expressive language. And that brings me to the What's Missing game. This is an early inferencing. It's very early on inferencing. And there's a great description from one of our users, who's an elementary school teacher at Resources, Tips and Tactics. So why don't I show you what's missing? Not that.
Perfect.
Okay. This is the what's missing menu. You notice Elizabeth and Mom are in this menu too. So we have 2 options at the highest level. Let the computer, Speech Kingdom, choose the sets for you at random, or you can choose the sets based upon some of your child's, what they like, their interests, or what they're most familiar with.
Or obviously a therapist may be working on a given group for success.
Correct. So this is designed for expressive language with an adult. So auto advance is going to be set to off, and there's certain settings that we set for you. This lets you go right into it without having to make the settings work for yourself. Language modeling, independent or with a child, this will pace them through and automatically advance as you go through. So you notice I have this set to choose the sets. It says right here, if I was over here, it just would start and we would choose the sets, we being Speech Kingdom. And again, you have the option to customize all the features for yourself and save those features on a per.
All right.
Okay, or we can set up a custom game. Okay, so why don't we get started here? I'm going to choose the sets and start, and I'm going to have it automatic. I'm not going to automatic. Okay, I'm going to go here. So you notice, let me clear this out from the last time I used it. Clear sets, yes. Okay, so you notice we have a group here. Here's another group, another group. They're not categorized. They're not really in any order. They're just meant to give you a variety of pictures and sets, depending on no matter which group you choose. So you may want to work through from your first group and just go through with the child, or you may want to select things. I happen to like this last group best because I like the treasure chest, I like the fishbowl, and hopscotch. Okay, So we'll click on start. So this is what's missing. I don't want to have 5. That's too many. So I'm going to go back into my game settings. And I'm going to drop the picture bank down to only 4. And this is black and white, which is great because black and white is good. Makes it a little bit more challenging because you can't do any color matching. Some of the sets matter, some of it really doesn't. But in this case, I'm going to pretend my child's a very, very young child, early learner, and I want to just introduce them to the game for the first time. So I'll go into color settings and we're going to make everything color.
But you can mix and match that.
We can mix and match. We can have the center picture up here, color, and everything else black and white, which is a setting I use all the time. Another thing we can do if we want more information, I have this set right now in settings. I have all my prompts set to on, so I can enlarge this image just by double clicking on it.
The treasure chest is missing its treasure.
And I get a little bit of an explanation. And we can ask some WH questions too while we're doing this. This is really designed for a lot of interaction with your child, or it can be just with your child doing it by themselves independently. Kids seem to love this game. Lisa, when we were at your 2017 conference, Speech Kingdom was way, way less than what it is now. It was just in its infancy. We were just getting some users together to give us some feedback. It was really more of an experiment back then. I swear this is a true story. Lady comes up to our booth with her son. He sits down at What's Missing, and he played it 15 minutes? Yeah. He was there a good 15 minutes, and about after 5 minutes, the mother bursts into tears. Lois bursts into tears. And you know Stephanie, she bursts into tears as well. And it was like, what's going on? The mother told us that this child had never had an attention span of longer than a minute or 2 minutes to do anything in his life. He sat down at What's Missing literally 15 minutes.
That's great.
So I thought that was a great story. And it's true. Anyway, so this obviously, we have a treasure chest again.
The treasure chest is missing its treasure.
You can turn all that off.
This, yeah, I can
do whatever you
I
want.
can have it just talk without the words. I can have it just show the words. If I'm working with my child on reading, I may want to go into here and when I enlarge on a double click, I want to maybe just display the text. So it's not going to play the audio.
The treasure
But
chest
if I want
is
to,
missing its treasure.
I can play it on my own. So that doesn't automatically play. So we can look here, that's a fork obviously, and we can enlarge it and talk to our child about, where would you find this? You think mom has one in the kitchen? Whatever we want to say, we can work with some great expressive language opportunities. I'm going to pull this up here, put the treasure.
The treasure chest is full of treasure.
So that's what's missing. Let's take a look at one more. Hopscotch. Let's see, if I do a wrong answer,
The girl is missing her hopscotch board.
again, we don't shame the child ever. You made a mistake, so what? Let's try again now. And you notice this is dim, so we can't do it again.
Whether or not it tells you that, that's all up to you. For the therapist.
Okay, so here's the hopscotch.
The girl is playing hopscotch.
So that's that. And well, we only have 3 altogether. This is a fountain water.
Water.
These look like jet skis, water skis.
Water skis.
Hammerhead.
Hammerhead.
So we've got a lot of really cool little pictures, and this is all original art that we've drawn. As I mentioned, we have graphic artists on both coasts. And here's our fish in the fishbowl.
The fish is in the fishbowl.
And what happens, Lisa, do you remember what happens at the end of every game? Let's see.
Party on.
Great job, Elizabeth.
That's
So-
awesome.
So this is our What's Missing game.
There's lots of other stuff.
Oh, I love it. So we've got a few more questions because I know we want to wrap up here soon, but can you tell me who uses Speech Kingdom now?
Well, we initially released it back in 2017 to small group of people, parents, teachers, therapists, and we got a lot of input and advice for more than 3 years. It's also a great tool For early language learners, we found, we didn't even think of that initially, and students for whom English is a second language, the option to control the audio speed comes in really handy. And one of our users, who's an elementary school teacher, I think we touched on her before, has had a lot of great success improving behaviors at school, teaching sorely need classroom and social skills. She wrote a series of papers describing her success with Speech Kingdom. Mini stories and games, we forgot that part. And that's all posted on our website under resources at speechkingdom.com.
That's awesome. So what are your future plans for Speech Kingdom?
Well, for one thing, Speech Kingdom is never going to be finished. It's not going to ever be complete. We're going to constantly keep adding more content. We have what seems to us to be an endless list of upcoming games and stories, and we're even adding to that endless list.
Right.
What we have planned on the games, actually, we've got, right now, opposites and idioms are we're working on. That's the next release. And for our stories, we're going to be expanding our holiday library and our safety libraries. One of the things that's super important that also puts us on a different level is there's no in-app purchases whatsoever. Users automatically receive content, and they never even have to go to the App Store to update. It automatically gets pushed out to them, and the app automatically updates itself. Our goal is to put Speech Kingdom in the hands of as many kids as possible through parents, therapists, and schools.
Oh, I love this. I love that parents are driving solutions and sharing them. So bravo. Thank you for helping. And for families new to the conference, I always want to say you've been down the road a piece. You've been working with us a long time. What advice would you give to a new family?
Well, you have the power to change your child's future. And there is so much that can be done to help your children. And it's not easy, but it's so worth it. Make me cry now. You're at this conference, and that's a really good start because you're going to learn so much here. And just never give up. Fight for your child, whatever is necessary. Because their future and the quality of their life is in your hands.
Just remember, you're at this conference, and that speaks volumes about who you are.
Yeah.
I adore you, Lois. You and I go way back, and David, well, I can take you or leave you.
Well, I
And Lois,
tolerate you, Lisa.
no, what I love is that you took your pain and put it to purpose, and you built a solution for families. And I really appreciate you doing that. And I appreciate you walking us through. It's so different with gathering virtually versus in person. Normally people would walk up and have a conversation with you and take you through the product. And what I like is today we were able to go through the product together and learn so much about what is in Speech Kingdom. So thank you guys for supporting TACA, and thank you for showing us this great tool, and thanks for giving us hope. You've done a great job being Elizabeth and all your girls' parents of being a parent. But I just wanted to thank you so much for teaching us. So
Thank you.
Thank
Lisa.
you. By the way, our kids adore you as well.
good. I'll see them soon. Anyways,
Okay.
thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.